Hi everyone, welcome to Guide and Grow TV. I'm Sylvia Arrington and today we're going to talk about a slightly misunderstood topic in Montessori, and that is that Montessori discourages imagination. So this is a widely misunderstood concept that Montessori doesn't encourage imagination and fantasy. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the difference between imagination and fantasy, because there is a big difference. And in short, Montessori does encourage imagination, but it doesn't encourage fantasy, specifically in the first 3 years of life. And I'm going to explain to you as to why that is the case. So let's talk about firstly, what is fantasy and what is imagination? So when we think about fantasy, we're thinking about mythical creatures, monsters, fairies, things that are made up and things that we do not see with our own eyes, and things that are not based on reality. Whereas the imagination is something that is created based on realistic and concrete examples or experiences and reality. So for example, a child that is pretend playing or role playing in a hairdresser, or, you know, they take items and they're like, oh, this is the blow dryer or cash register and when they play shops. So all of these things are their imagination. Now, Maria Montessori says that it's really important to give children in this first 3 years of life, especially, the foundations of what they are going to create and base their reality on, so that with that understanding, they can then create and start understanding more and really explore their imagination. And that's what it's all about. It's really about presenting them with concrete ideas and realistic images, say for example in books, because developmentally, they actually don't have the ability to understand what an abstract concept is until they have the foundation of what is real. So once they have that solid understanding of, you know, what's tangible, what's real, then they have the ability to actually understand what's the abstract. So it's actually built on top of that concept. And developmentally, children don't have the ability to differentiate what is real and what is not real. So for example, if you show a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old a purple flying elephant, for example, they will understand that as being real. So they absorb all of that information and they don't have the ability in their brain development right now to understand the difference between the unseen world and what is reality. Now, Montessori does encourage imagination. So things like role playing, you know, using items to create, you know, a shop or a train track or animals in a role playing situation. It could be anything to do with those types of activities. That's something that is really encouraged in Montessori. So, and in terms of creating things, so the creative arts and allowing the child materials so that they can create and imagine these concepts. Now, these things happen more towards that 3-year mark. You know, you can see role playing happening sometimes as early as 2 in some children, but it really depends on the child themselves. But in terms of that fantastical or mythical understanding, that doesn't happen until a little bit later on, where they can start building on their reality and the experiences that are concrete to them, so that they can really then understand, okay, what actually exists, and then start understanding what doesn't exist and form those abstract concepts. So I hope that's cleared up some confusion around Montessori not encouraging imagination, because it really does. And I want to just share with you a quote from Maria Montessori, which I thought perfectly explained this idea that imagination is built on reality. Maria Montessori says, "The true basis of the imagination is reality, and its perception is related to exactness of observation. It is necessary to prepare children to perceive the things in their environment exactly, in order to secure for them the material required for their imagination. So, like I was mentioning before, it is really important to allow children to explore their imagination, but they really do have to have that solid understanding of the world around them through observation, through experiences. So they might be experiencing these things in everyday life, playing mums and dads or whatever else it is that they're engaged in, even practical life activities. These things are all concepts and ideas that they're building so that they can then explore and start exploring their imagination and then understanding what those concepts are. So remember, there is a difference between fantasy and imagination. We're talking in the first few years, it's really important to encourage your child's imagination, especially when you're practicing Montessori, but there is a difference between what is fantasy and what is imagination. So we encourage you to stay away from, those unrealistic, mythical type creatures and ideas until your child has that firm understanding of the world around them, and then they'll dive into that once they pass that stage. I hope that's helped clear up some confusion around that, and I'll hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye.